I'm going to read an email here, but before I do, I want to say the following. It is my belief, my wholehearted belief, that anybody under the age of 25 who has a baby is a loser, especially guys. But really, it's everybody. You're a loser. There is no reason to have a baby before age 25, and it is not recommended. There is no rush to do it either. And the reason there's no rush to do it is because, first of all, think about this. Life expectancies in the United States are at an all-time high. You do not need to have a baby at 21, 19. And what it says to me when you go out and let your girlfriend or your current squeeze or, God forbid, your wife, because you shouldn't be married before 25 either, when you let that person talk you into having a baby and you do it, what you are saying is the following. I am never going to amount to anything. I am never going to have a good career. The way I am today, this is as good as I'm ever going to get. Ever. That's it. You're a loser. I really believe that people just don't think ahead. And I also believe, as I've said on this show many times before, that you can't see the future. Let me go back to when I was 22 years old for a second. 22. Let me tell you what my life was like when I was 22. I lived with my girlfriend who was 7 years older than I was. I was 22. She was 29. I wanted to be in radio back then, but I had a girlfriend. And my girlfriend wanted me to spend more time around the house, and having not had a lot of success in the radio business, I had a day job. In fact, that's where I met my girlfriend. She was a secretary at my office. Now, she was not a dumb secretary. She was an intelligent woman. She spoke 5 languages. She was from Israel, and she was a former captain in the Israeli army who knew how to fire an Uzi. She was a substantial person of great intellect and was very interesting to talk to. But at 29, she was ready to settle down. And not only was she ready to settle down, her parents, who were well off, they were prepared to help us settle down. Her dad was a consul general. He ran an Israeli consulate. And he made good bucks, you know. He made tax-free income because he was, he had a diplomatic visa. And owned some real estate, had some condos and stuff. He was prepared to buy us a co-op apartment in New York, furnish it completely. All we had to do was agree that when he's in New York, he needs a place to stay. He could stay in our spare bedroom. Which he said if we were going to be living together, that kind of thing was going to be happening anyway. And I faced a dilemma. Because if I took her up on that offer from her father, and I moved into the co-op apartment, we were going to have all kinds of expenses that I hadn't had before. You know, pretty much I had a Section 8 apartment when I was 22. My rent was $287 a month, including utilities. You can imagine this. Section 8, folks. Federally subsidized apartment. If I moved to a condo, I was going to have maintenance on that condo or co-op. I was going to have property taxes, insurance, and all the other expenses that go with living in a co-op or a condominium. And that would mean essentially that I would be sunk deeper and deeper into having to go to work every day, having to make more money, instead of worrying about how I was going to get my career on track. And I would have ended up being, you know, at best, vice president of the little teeny tiny interior design firm I worked for, because I was not able at that time to get the radio job I wanted. It was a time in my life where I was making $400 a week, and I was lucky to get it. I really felt good about it. I'm saying, hey, I'm 22, and I'm making $21,000 a year. It's pretty good for 22. I used to say the same thing all these guys would call in say. So here I was. I'm living with my secretary, who's 7 years older than I am. She has a college degree. I don't. I have been bouncing around the fringes of radio for 6 years, writing comedy bits for people, playing characters on other people's radio shows, filling in, doing overnights, doing weekends, working at 2 different stations under 2 different names at one point in time, just so I could stay afloat. And finally, I needed to take a day job because financially it wasn't working. At 22, I really had doubts about whether I would ever become anything in the radio business. I had doubts. And I was this close to saying, you know what, let's take this offer. My God, it's a co-op apartment. Let's go. And had I done that, I wouldn't be standing here with you today. Fortunately for me, somewhere in there, I don't know if it was on her 30th birthday or something like that, I got it together and realized this was the one last chance I had in my life to take a stand and make it. And ultimately, rather than taking her father's advice and moving into the co-op he was going to buy for us, we split up. And I moved to Stanton, Virginia, and made $160 a week instead of the $400 a week I had been making to get a radio job working 6 days a week, 60 hours in the 6 days, just so I could get on the air and start building a career. Had I taken her father's offer, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have done that. But at that time, at 22, I thought, you know what? I'm failing at this. I'll never succeed at this. At best, I thought the most I'd make would be $100,000 a year, and I'd be thrilled to get it. I had no idea that somewhere down the line I would figure it out and I would become a 7-figure income earner and a multimillionaire. I had no idea. Now, fortunately, I never wanted to have children. And so when I was 22, 23, 24, I didn't date women who had doubts about that. Because had I done something like that, or had I screwed up and done it by accident, I also wouldn't be standing here today. Would not. You say I would be, but I'm telling you I wouldn't. And that brings me to the email I'm going to read to you now. From a listener named Jim. By the way, it's a 4-line email. It's very simple. Here it is. Jim writes in and says, I am 21. And my girlfriend tells me that she is on birth control. But she is always talking about how she would love to have a baby with me. She always talks about this vision she has about us being married with kids. She talks about what it will be like if we get married. What should I do? Because I really like her, but I don't want what she wants. Thanks, Jim. Jim, I feel your pain. I understand this situation. I've been in your shoes. And you might not like what I have to say about this, but Jim, I don't care if she says she's on birth control today. These situations generally come to no good. What ends up happening in many of these situations is this. She'll keep telling you what she wants. You'll keep trying to avoid the subject. And ultimately one day she will forget, in quotes. She will forget to take her pill. She'll forget. Conveniently. And because she's telling you she's on birth control, she has you convinced right now not to use a condom. I know that because most guys have no idea if their girl's on birth control if they're using a condom. If you know she's on birth control, that means she told you that. And she told you that so you would not use a condom, or so you'd feel comfortable not using a condom. That is where she wants to get you, to lull you into this false sense of security so you will have sex without a condom. And who knows, maybe she will legitimately forget to take the pill one day. I mean, every woman out there that I've ever known forgets once in a while. Then has to take 2 the next day or whatever. You understand that it is entirely possible that she will come to you one day after you've had sex without a condom and go, ooh, I'm sorry, Jim. I didn't mean for it to happen, but I'm pregnant and I'm going to have a baby. It's our baby, the one I've dreamed about, the one I've hoped for. And then you're going to be SOL, pal. At 21, you will have a big rock tied around your neck. You'll have a big anchor tied around your neck, and anything you try to do will be dictated by the needs of this baby that you don't want. The way I see this, when a woman starts telling you how much she wants to have a baby when you're 21 years old, it's time to go. That day. No waiting. Get out today. Start packing. Hopefully you're not living with her, for God's sake, and this is why I tell you boys not to live with your girlfriend, not to have a girlfriend if you can avoid it.